I am Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And we're paranormal specialists who live in the most haunted city on earth, Savannah, Georgia. Every day is Halloween in our line of work, so join us as we spin true tales of haunts, murders, and disturbing Savannah history. I'm Madison.
I'm Chris.
And welcome to the most haunted city on earth. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Most Haunted City on Earth. My name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And I'm JT Timmons.
And today we're back with another Ghostmail. Woo!
Woo.
Everybody's favorite segment.
And we're live streaming for the Pear Junkies.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, every Sunday when we film this, we live stream. So if you would like to watch us film these live, definitely consider becoming a Pear Junkie.
Mm-hmm.
We're also going to be going up to the mountains in May, somewhere in the middle of May.
Yes, 7th through the 14th, I think.
Yep, and we're going to be finally making all of that Appalachian mountain content. Last time the mountains ran us out, but you know, that's okay.
Woot.
I know. So this time, weather should be better, and we should be able to discuss things like the moon-eyed people.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Who doesn't want to hear about the moon-eyed people?
Right.
Everyone wants to hear about the moon-eyed people.
moon pie people.
I'm a moon pie person.
I'm a
Yeah,
moon
there
pie
you go.
person.
They're sitting here at this table.
Moon pie.
But before we get into today's episode, would you like to thank our newest patrons? Pear Junkies,
Yes.
if you
We
will.
have many new members of the Pear Junkie
Excellent.
family. I know. It's been a good week. All right. I would like to thank Kayla Shrink, Alicia Richardson, Rhonda King, Josh Collins, Jade Amella, Regina, Brandy Benjamin, Lori Leigh Waraka, Fallen to Cox, Levi Lewis, and Damus Elchidiak.
Yes.
Excellent.
Woo!
And if we,
Welcome aboard.
Right.
Welcome aboard.
And if we mispronounce your name, please let us know how to properly say it. Sometimes
Absolutely.
they get a little tricky. But also, for today's episode, all these stories are coming to you from our listeners. So if you have a ghost story that you'd like to share with us, please send it to us. You can send it to ghostmail@hauntedcitypodcast.com. We loved reading these and talking about them. We've heard some really crazy stories since starting
It's
this
amazing.
segment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
We have gotten a lot of ghost mail in. Thank you all so much for sending it in. And so, yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and start. Do you have anything else?
Yes.
Oh,
also,
yeah, okay.
with Q&As, we are still doing Q&As. So if you would like to have a question answered on the show, please utilize the Q&A button on TikTok. It's at the top of our profile, Haunted City Podcast. That is where I find all the questions. If you ask something in the comment section on one of the TikToks, there is no guarantee I'm going to see it, just because it gets very loaded.
Yeah, the volume of comments.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So if you want to make sure that your question is answered, the Q&A button is where it is.
Oh, yeah. All right, here we go. Let's get started. All right. Let's see. Sawyer Worthington sent something in.
Ooh, a pretty cool
Worthington.
name.
All right. And it's called Ghostmail - The Sleep Talker.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. I feel like a lot of ghost mail's about sleep. Like
Oh, yeah.
a lot
Oh,
of ghost
yeah.
mail. That's when they come and visit you.
That is.
When your
Indeed.
eyes are closed and you can't see them. Yep.
Making it easier to sleep, JT.
Right.
Thank you very much. Just remember, when you close your eyes, there they are.
True.
It's true, in the corner of your
Watching
room.
you.
All right, here we go. Let's start it up. Hi, guys. I've been watching for a while and wanted to share some of my experiences with you and get your feedback. My first experience started when I was a little kid in elementary school. I have a sister who is 7 years older than me. One night, she woke up in the early hours of the morning to go to the bathroom. Both of our bedrooms were down the same hallway. My bedroom door was past hers at the end of the hall. While opening her bedroom door, she saw a figure moving towards her in the hall and froze in her doorway. She described it as a bright white figure that was as tall as the ceiling. She said it looked like it was wearing a long white robe. The figure moved from the beginning of the hallway down into my bedroom at the end of the hall. She said that a few seconds after it entered my room, she heard me start talking to it. I said things like, "Hi, I haven't seen you in a while. How are you doing?" Basic things like that. My sister mustered up the courage and ran into my room, but she didn't see anything. I was laying on my bed, fast asleep. I remember her waking me up, asking me who I was talking to. I replied that I was just sleeping and wasn't talking to anyone. I rolled over and went back to sleep. Fast forward to 20-some years later, and according to my fiance, I am an avid sleep talker. That's cool. I like that.
That sleep talking skill is.
Yeah, that's kind of dope. Like, all right, cool. Like, honestly, this actually gives me an idea. I wish you were a sleep talker, babe, because I would write your dialogue and I'd make it into a full length play.
Well, there you go.
Written by the first play written by an unconscious
By the
woman.
subconscious, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, the only time I've ever sleep talked was when it was a spirit
Yeah.
that was there. So
Yeah.
and you've been present for that, so it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah. All right. I rolled over and went back to sleep. Fast forward 20 some years later, and according to my fiance, I'm an avid sleep talker. The strange thing, though, is when I sleep talk, it's like I'm talking to someone in a conversation. She said that she's heard me introduce myself a lot and other conversational things. My fiance has also told me that sometimes I sound like I am speaking parcel tongue from the Harry Potter series.
Oh, that's good.
I think I may be speaking in tongues. I'm a very spiritual person. I had spiritual experiences my whole life, and so has my sister. Let me know what you think. SW.
Nice. You got real country there at the end of that. So has my sister. I don't know if you heard yourself.
No,
but
I didn't.
You went real country.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, sorry, I gotta re-listen to myself. All right, but that is it.
So
Thank you, Sawyer.
right off the bat, when people see figures in the dark, 9 times out of 10, they're like shadow, but this was a big, bright figure.
Right.
The fact that it was so tall, wearing robes, it kind of falls into that category of people who see angels or alien.
Ooh.
Aliens and angels, brightly lit white figures that come through. I am inclined to suggest that it would be an encounter that most people would put in the angelic category. A lot of young people claim to still have connection and communication with the in-between time before birth. They were with the angels, and they came in and they talked to angelic figures. So that kind of fits to include the speaking in a strange language like speaking in tongues, because speaking in tongues, of course, is ideally and conceptually speaking the language of angels, the Enochian language, that involuntary sound that is coming from trying to translate angelic things. Meanwhile, JT's hoping to knock Madison out so that she will speak
Right.
unconsciously.
But I immediately thought angel as well, but I also thought maybe you're kind of in this weird in between of the astral plane of sorts.
Sure.
And you're just still able to be in your body while you're there, and it's coming through like the conversations that you're having in the plane is just kind of my other thought that it could be. But that's a very rare kind of situation, because most people are not in their physical body when they're in the plane. But
It gave me poltergeist, like they're here type of vibe.
creepy like that, yes. Yeah. But
Well, one of the things that stood out was the phrase, "It's been a while since I've seen you."
yeah,
That kind of conversational idea. And when I say angelic encounters, I don't actually mean angels. I just mean that people oftentimes will allocate that to an angel because they don't know what else to call that kind of encounter. So again, just as we use demons as a catch-all, angels are kind of a catch-all for those lighter, brightly lit, divine-seeming entities that come into people's grasp and experience. And again, speaking a language like speaking in tongues or speaking a language that is not recognizable immediately does kind of work in that astral plane concept too, because you're basically acting like a translator of impulses and sensations and feelings.
I vote Alien.
Alien's not a bad call.
I vote Alien.
Yeah.
Tall, bright, as tall as the ceiling.
Tall as the
There's
ceiling,
been
robes.
so many.
Yeah.
There's been so many stories of aliens visiting people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
At night, and I mean, I definitely see that happening.
Well, I mean, and apparently, now listen, I will preface this, I am not an expert in aliens. I don't go down that rabbit hole very often, but I know there are different species of aliens, and I do want to say there is one that is tall Amazonian type entities.
Long white hair, long bright skin. As a matter of fact, a lot of people link them to angelic sightings and angelic things. Because you got your grays and you got your reptilians. And
do aliens scare y'all?
They make me nervous, but a lot of that does come from a place of I am not overtly knowledgeable about them. And so it comes from a place of ignorance more than...
Yeah, I don't think I'm afraid necessarily of aliens per se. No more than strangers.
Right.
It lives in that same realm of just not knowing, not understanding. And a lot of people think that our alien phenomenon is not necessarily extraterrestrial as much as extra dimensional. And that becomes kind of this interesting playground to really think about. Is encounters may not be from visitors from another planet, but visitors from another plane. And that brings in that whole astral projection kind of sense, especially if it's happening while you're sleeping. And they're able to communicate so freely with you. Plus, the fact that your sister saw this entity, in the physical world, does bring about a question of how are they coming to us? Are they, breaking through a veil that we don't understand? Are they from another dimension? Are they extraterrestrial? Do they come down in a spaceship and then utilize some unknown technology to communicate with us?
And that's a whole different episode.
That is an entirely different
episode. We can get into, because there are so many rabbit holes, especially with the grays, about especially the side of the extra dimensional, dimensional sort of realm.
Sure.
Because there's plenty of people who think that those are what eventually humans will...
Evolution. So it's almost like time travel that you're talking about.
Because of technology and how our bodies would change because we're adapting to climate change, technology, all that jazz.
Our heads and brains would get so large, and the rest of our body would.
So if you would like to hear that, we can definitely do a deep dive into that.
We could definitely do a deep dive into aliens. I feel like it's something we've honestly completely missed because we're so just ghosty oriented. But I feel like that's on the same.
Oh, sure.
Astral plane.
Well, and the reason why I feel like it's mostly been kind of ignored slightly is just because it's such a polarizing topic.
It becomes different camps. We talked about that. We've talked about how strange it is that people will believe fully in ghosts and just not in aliens, or people will believe fully in aliens and just not in ghosts. And I think there is now more and more conversation about, even Bigfoot has fallen into this kind of thing where it's like, what? We've been looking at this as, a creature that lives in the woods, but what if it's an extra-dimensional being that just has the ability to come in and out of our reality? And that's why we can never find them, is they just appear through, holes in our dimensions, and they go back through those holes, and we never see them and never see a trace of them or never see a track of them. So people are definitely beginning to cross the lines because everybody had their own lane. It's like if you're a cryptozoologist, you don't believe in the supernatural, you believe in the alternate natural, something in nature, something that is natural. If you're a ghost, you believe in the paranormal. If you're a UFO person, then you believe in a science-based answer to a question about extraterrestrial life.
Sure.
So we can definitely do that.
Oh yeah, and we got a lot of good stuff coming up. We're gonna do what's our next Pear Junkie exclusive on Faye.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Faye, which is, I always like to talk about Faye.
Oh, I know. You're Faye daddy.
Well, yeah.
You're Faye daddy. You love some Fae. All right, here we
I'm
go.
uncomfortable with this talk.
So what?
I said I'm uncomfortable with this talk.
All right, here we go. The next one is actually a follow-up from Hannah Cornelison, West Texas Weird. Remember Chihuahua Desert?
Yeah. The Chihuahua Desert.
Oh, yeah, the Chihuahua Desert.
The power plant, the abandoned power plant.
Yes. Absolutely. All right. Edit 2. So sorry to keep adding to this, but yesterday I had another weird thing happen, and my friend said I should tell y'all since she thinks it's related. Okay, so yesterday I wasn't feeling too hot at work, so I laid my head down to rest my eyes, and I ended up falling asleep. Guys, I had the weirdest dream, one unlike any of the usual dreams. So, in the dream, I'm outside my building at the facility I work at. I start walking to the exit of the facility when I see a boy in a blue shirt standing across the road from the property. As I'm walking towards him, the little boy is staring at me. When I get closer, he simply asks, "Can I talk to you?" Then I shot up awake immediately. I don't know if it's real or connected, but that for sure freaked me out. People in my dreams never address me or ask me questions like that. Made me feel so uneasy. Okay, that's all. Thank you guys for being an outlet for all the weird stuff that's happening around me. Well, thanks for sending in your stories.
Yes.
So
All right,
I've actually heard numerous stories about people getting super drowsy, feeling headachy, and almost being lulled into sleep. And there's a chance that that very condition is an attempt of communication, like knowing that you could not speak directly to a living person, trying to coax them into a sleep state or coax them into a state in which they can communicate. So there's a chance that the more open you are to the idea that there's entities or energies around you, the more they're going to try to negotiate a communication with you. And don't ever apologize for bringing more stuff. We were so very interested in the story because there's so many interesting outlets, and now I'm like, okay, boy, blue shirt. What do we got?
Right.
Cub Scout. They wear the blue shirt right up until they become Boy Scouts. Webelos, they wear those navy blue shirts. So I don't know what color shirt. Blue is a spectrum. So is it a dark blue? Is it a light blue? Did he look like he was just a regular kid? Was there anything that you noticed that was out of the ordinary? The fact that he said, "Can I talk to you?" is fascinating because it is classic even Fae behavior is asking for permission, asking to be let in, asking, you can't engage anything unless you invite it in. So there's a lot of interesting
like a vampire?
Well, yeah, that's where the vampire lore comes from. The vampiric lore of having to invite a vampire in order for them to enter or have any dominion inside of your home is old. That's old belief that predates vampire stories or vampire stories as we know them. That is an interesting thing because it does seem like an invitation to dance. So be very aware because that might be the first step of a contact, and that means that there might be all kinds of things going on that may have escaped your perception before. But now, as you walk around, as you're looking at this area, as you're having these dreams, all of these things, pay as much attention as you can because it's possible that you're at the next level of contact with whatever it is.
Also think about what type of blue shirt it was. Like t-shirt or whatever. Was it maybe like an old team jersey or something like that? Because then you can do
school
some research.
School
uniform.
Yeah.
You could do some research, maybe find a similar shirt since it stuck out to you so much. You could find a similar shirt. Maybe there's like a story about a kid who died and homies come in and be like, "Yo, what's up?"
Personally, it reminds me a lot of the Black-Eyed Children sort of deal.
Of course it does,
let me in. Yeah.
Let me in. Well, because I immediately thought the same thing. It's very Fae behavior. But
yeah, well, that's Fae Daddy.
Okay, well,
talking.
Listen. No, Fae is a catch-all term in the same way demon and angel is a catch-all
Right,
term
exactly,
because there's a ton of subcategories of Fae. But it's true. A lot of it does boil down to that having to ask permission, which to me always makes me suspicious because I'm like, why can't you just talk to me?
Right,
like,
exactly.
you know. And it was the same way with the Black Eyed Children, who I do consider a part of the Fae.
Of course you do, Faye Daddy.
Okay, listen.
I feel like Faye Daddy is just giving off the wrong vibes.
It is giving the wrong vibe.
That's on purpose,
That feels
y'all.
very personal and private.
Have you met me? Have you met me?
Yeah, but we don't have to be involved.
But anyways, to the point, that's going to end up on merch, or TikTok's going to run with that one.
Faye Daddy is hashtag Faye Daddy.
Hashtag
Ends
Faye
with an
Daddy.
I, by the way.
Yes.
If anyone wants to make merch,
Or IE.
I don't want to be a part of this.
Or if you want to spell it correctly, it would be DADDE, like how Faye is FAE.
Oh, I didn't even think about
Yeah.
that. Anyway, okay, let's get back to the
Chris
story.
is gonna leave forever.
Yeah.
He's never coming back.
No, for sure.
but yeah, I feel like it's a spirit you want to be kind of cautious with. I don't like when things ask questions. I don't like that. It's not my favorite.
Well, yeah, because it initiates an exchange. Exchanges are notoriously bad in supernatural exchanges. You know, when somebody wants something, the trade-off is, well, what do I get for this? What do you get for this? You know, it's where our entire belief in selling your soul comes from, is going into a contract with a supernatural entity. It raises questions, but at the same time, it seems like you're on a path of discovery. So just stay aware.
Keep us posted.
And keep us posted.
Yes.
Please do.
Oh, yeah. All right, on to the next one. Real quick, before I read this, I just want to tell y'all, not this Saturday, but the Saturday after, we're going to be doing a From One to Wicked. We want you to meet our kind of like the woman behind the scenes, Debria Robinson. I'm looking at her right now, and what she's going to do is she's going to choose an entity or something around the world, and she's going to give it to Madison, who will do the research, and she will be a part of the episode because we're going to
put Debria in a room alone with the entity.
Yes.
Yes.
We're going to conjure it.
Yeah, she's but we just want to y'all to get to know her. She's super cool, and she's a really big part of our team. So, we feel like she's kind of like the unseen face of this. So she's gonna be sitting in this chair, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. And the reason that I'm saying this
about this,
I
as
know,
well.
right?
The
reason
I would
that
like
I'm
to point
saying
out
this-
that she's just like, what are you saying, and why are you saying it out loud?
She knows about it. The reason I'm saying it out loud is because that solidifies everything. She can't get out of it now.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, poor Debria has had so many weird encounters in this building since starting to work
she
with
has.
us. Yeah, she's in
Maybe
here
she
by
can talk
herself
about
a
that.
lot, and she has had to leave on numerous occasions and at later hours because weird things are happening.
Yep, maybe
Is that,
she can
You
talk
can
about
confirm
that.
that, Debria? Help.
She just said help. So anyway,
back to the Ghostmail.
Yes, back
Something
to the Ghostmail.
to look forward to, though.
It is. She's fun. She's super funny. All right, here we go. Natalie Nelson sends in, I think it might be me, is the title.
Is it me? Am I the problem? Am I the drama?
Am I the drama?
Anyway, all right, here we go. Hi, friends. I've been listening to your podcast for about a year now and think you are all so great. Thank you so much. That means from the very beginning, because we're not
Wow.
even close.
Yeah, we're not even
a year old.
Yeah.
But that's awesome, though. That means you were like one of our first listeners. We really appreciate it. As I have been listening to other stories, it has triggered memories. And I realize I've had paranormal experience in about every place I've lived and then some. The only place I didn't have any experiences was back in my dorm room at college, but I was an insomniac then, and when I did sleep, I slept like the dead. Heh. H-E-H.
Heh.
I support it.
Yes.
I have many stories, but I will start with where I live now. I live on the west side of Chicago, not far from where the old Dunning Insane Asylum was. Link to the history below. It was such a terrible place. They tore it down many years ago and built construction and residential real estate on top. During construction, they found 3,000 unmarked graves. Whoa.
Wow.
And then she sent us a source, which is a very legitimate source. It's a history journal. Wow, that's awesome. Thank you. I'm going to definitely look that up. Maybe we can do an episode on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a great idea. All right, look forward to that.
Chicago is notoriously haunted.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And the Dunning Asylum is, ground zero for a lot of stuff.
Okay. Until a couple of years ago, we got a lot of ghost traffic in our house. They would just sort of pop in and out, and I never saw the same ghost twice. I think they were just checking things out. Number 1, since living in the house, I have seen a woman in dark Victorian garb standing at the foot of my son's bed while he slept. I tell myself unconvincingly that it probably is just a dead ancestor. Number 2, a white figure walking quickly past me in the upstairs hallway. 3, another white figure hovering over my husband in our bed. That's not scary at all. Made my mouth go dry, actually. It's kind of... Number 4. And in our basement, a bald man wearing a worker's coat like the ones gas attendants used to wear, with his name stitched on his lapel and carrying a clipboard. I'm interested in what the name is. That's creepy. And then there are things I hear and feel in the house. I've been woken up to screaming in my ear. I won't go in the basement if I am alone in the house. In fact, I try to avoid it as much as I can. When I am in the back half of the house where the kitchen and family room are, the lights frequently flicker on and off on their own. I had to remove the radio clock from the kitchen because the radio would always turn on at 3 a.m. in the morning, even when I turned the alarm off. It's always freezing. And lastly, when my son was little, he had a few talking toys, and they would always go off by themselves if I was downstairs by myself at night. This has happened probably 20 times since we lived here and is unnerving every single time. I bet it is. Mm-hmm. All right. Activity has died down in the past few years, and I credit a couple things. 1, warding the house with black salt. 2, putting out a glass of whiskey or rum and asking the house spirits to handle the riffraff. I imagine a Dobby-like creature acting like a bouncer of sorts.
He's like, Dobby will not allow this. You will not harm her. Master. What was her name?
Natalie.
Master Natalie has requested you to not harm her.
Should we just do a whole episode?
We could, absolutely. That's just it.
I think that's what we need to do. Goodness gracious. Whatever it was, I do not see or hear many things in the house anymore, and I am super grateful. Even though I feel much more at ease with paranormal things these days, I really don't want them in my house. I'm too much of a scaredy cat. Thanks for all the fabulous content. Appreciate you all. Natalie, i.e. Nat Nelson. Oh, Nat Nelson. Okay, cool. Yeah. I will tell you right now, that's a classic. That is a classic haunting. That is a legitimate haunting right there. Like you could make a movie about that.
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I might.
And the volume of spirits does suggest that you're probably somewhere that allows for that kind of traffic. Oh, yeah. You know, spirits just moving through, coming through.
Like a portal almost.
Yes. Very much like a portal. And I find it interesting that I've heard stories like this with houses that are next to large transformer boxes, the electric transformer boxes on poles or right next to like a power conversion area where all the electrical lines come in and they are part of where the grid crosses over. You hear stories about just like ghosts that don't have any rhyme or reason. They're just like a wide volume. It's not like it's the site of a bunch of murders. It's really just spirits are able to present, and they'll be drawn to these areas of high intensity electricity Also, certain people are like lightning rods for ghosts, and so ghosts find their way to them. It's also possible that your child, at the age that he was when the activity was very big, a lot of times children grow out of their magnetism for spirits, and so a child very young might have a lot of spirits being present all around, but as they grow, they're sealing off a lot of the doors, and that creates a situation where less spirits have access. And of course, any acts you take in warding create, at the very least, your intention in the place. You are announcing very clearly, I don't like it, I don't want it. And so what you've done in action becomes a way to corral and keep out the lesser spirits, spirits that do not have business there. When they realize that they're not welcome there, oftentimes, for fear of losing what energy they have. A lot of times a spirit will try to present itself, using up the energy of its existence to present itself. And if you're like, no, then they've just wasted that energy. Then they are diminishing their existence. And so if you do a ward, if you do these things, the spirits kind of have a notion that it's like, oh, I can't spend my energy here because it will not profit me. It will not get me anything. So that, all those things are very interesting. I would love to hear more.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, set security cameras up in the house.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
well,
send us anything
I'd like
that's
to point
weird.
out, when we talk about this, when we get ghost mail, oftentimes the ghost mail trends a certain way. And this is the first time, I think, we've had multiple mentions of light colored entities, of white entities. And, because we usually get shadow entities. So
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
They're like, hey, we're
and
here
sleeping.
too.
I was going to ask.
Sleeping.
I was going to ask.
And white energy.
Yes.
I was going to mention just a few things. First off, thank you so much for the correct grammar and spelling. I can't tell you enough. When you hear me like mess up stuff when I'm reading, it's because usually there's like grammar mistakes or spelling mistakes. This was amazing. There were like awesome sources. This is awesome. So I just wanted to give you a shout out for that. And second, I didn't know if it's white as in like I'm white, or is it like a glowing white?
No, like a glowing white.
Yeah.
How y'all know?
Well, because
She didn't say that.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. Usually, you don't see like skin pigment. There's no pigment to spirits a lot of times.
And you probably wouldn't bring it up unless it were noted, notable, that there was a white entity. And classically, throughout history, all you have to do is look at a children's Halloween book. What do the ghosts look like? They look like white sheets. And of course, the sheets are death shrouds, blah blah blah, yakety smackety. Doesn't matter. The white ghost is a concept that we are drained of our color. Our spirits don't have flesh, so people think, oh well, you're devoid of color, which goes both ways, white and black. Shadow and light. So then. It's a pretty common thing to see white spirits. However, we generally don't hear about them.
Right.
People generally don't write in and say, I saw this white thing, this white entity, this white spirit coming through our house.
So when I was listening to this, first thing I thought was, you definitely have some of these spirits. Some of these were attached to you, more than likely, if you have had experiences in every place you've lived, except for a dormitory, which, honestly, is kind of off-putting to a lot of spirits anyways, because there's a lot going on.
It's a very tumultuous place.
Yeah, so that's understandable if they kind of laid low for that period of time. But, a part of me thinks that maybe if there is a portal, and that's part of the reason why you're having so many other spirits come in, that might be why you're so afraid to go down into the basement, because a lot of times the energy from portals is very intense, and it's not super common where people want to be near them.
No. It's actually quite repellent to life.
Yeah, exactly.
Living things are stay away, and for good reason.
Exactly. Also, I will say it's always a good idea if you want your house spirits to do something for you, Alcohol is always a good option. I find it very effective. They usually do what you want if you give them enough coercion with a good treat.
Like
so.
my 18-year-old Oben.
No,
Intriguingly,
I don't use that one all the time.
I don't think that it's necessarily alcohol, not necessarily. It is the concept of giving a treat because for as far back as you go, leaving out sweets also works.
Right.
I mean, we leave out cookies for Santa Claus for a reason.
Oh.
He's a jolly old elf. These things, leaving food out is one of the big practices in almost every culture. When they create altars generally have food. They generally, in going back to like Zeus, God, even in the Bible, Cain and Abel. That whole argument was who brought the best thing for, was it food or, what kind of food, what kind of
even
offering?
before that with an apple.
Right.
Yeah.
It just keeps going to the idea that if you leave something out, especially consumables that that are enjoyed by the living, because you're basically inviting them in a way. Again, there comes the invitation word. You're basically inviting them into the rituals of the living,
Sure,
into the mortal realm.
So
things.
Yeah.
I have a question for Madison. What's black salt do?
So black salt is a really effective protective salt because you're basically using the elements of earth and the ash of fire that is kind of combining, which makes it extra potent. Every color salt kind of has its own extra, sort of abilities. That's why you use like pink Himalayan salt for love and black salt for protection. You can also use like red salt for protection, but black salt is
Salt as a whole is a pretty strong protective.
I didn't realize there was black salt.
It's super easy to make.
Can you eat it?
No, I wouldn't recommend it.
Why?
Well, because you don't want to eat ashes. Do you want to lick an ashtray?
No, I don't want to lick an ashtray.
Well, yeah, basically that's what you'd be doing. It'd just be a salty ashtray,
I know,
basically.
but the emo boy inside me was like, oh my God.
I will
Black
say.
salt for my black food.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Swish
I
his
will.
bangs.
He's acting like this now, but I will tell you, I had a big jar of black salt that I made, and JT was like, "That's evil. That's
What?
demonic." Yes, you did.
When? I didn't even know this existed.
Yes, and then we saw it at the witch store, and you're like, "That looks like it's for evil purposes." I'm like, "No, it's for protection." This was very early on, and you.
I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, I do.
Zero.
Because I was like, "You're wrong about that one, buddy." But you're like, because it was black, so you're immediately before we even ever started.
She's
this
got a better
podcast,
memory than I do, y'all.
Yeah, you thought it was evil.
Well,
first.
yeah, I mean it is
It's a
evil.
big can of black salt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very easy to make though.
All right, y'all. Here we go. Let's move on. That was great. That was awesome. Oh my gosh, we have photos and videos.
Yay!
Huzzah.
All right. This is from No.
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 This is called Possible Ghost Pictures and Orb Video. I love when people send in visuals.
At first, I thought you said possum, and I was like, the haunted possum.
They're playing dead.
Yes.
That's funny. All right. If there were ghost possums, highways would be just like hotbeds for hauntings.
There are plenty of animals that are turned into ghosts. It wouldn't be out of the ordinary if maybe a possum.
Yeah.
became
Why did
a
I just think of
ghost.
Snoopy?
I don't know.
Did Snoopy wear was Snoopy a ghost at one point?
No, not that I'm aware of.
I don't know. I didn't have a childhood. All right, here we go.
Everyone was a ghost.
No, he was the Red Baron. Yeah.
Or the pilot who fought the Red Baron.
Yes, that's the one.
All right. Like the pizza. Okay, here we go. Ooh, okay, here we go. All right. This is creepy. All right. Possible ghost pictures and orb video. The video where the hog walks past the camera, pretty sure those are bugs. But in the second video, the hog stands stock still and looks at what looks like orbs pass in front of it. The reason I think they are orbs is how solid, round, and smoothly they move compared to the first video. Also, the hog's behavior. The videos were taken in Fred, Texas. Like the name. The picture with the flags was taken in San Antonio. Stupid haunted.
Yeah.
Stupid haunted. I've been there, and it was very haunted. The picture was with the flags was taken in San Antonio, a few streets away from the Alamo. Yep. The other picture is of what looks like a skull at my old deer stand. All right. Let's see. Okay. We'll go ahead and... Oh, yeah, that's creepy. And I'm looking... Oh, yeah, here we go. Yep, there's a screenshot. That looks like a skull. Sure, absolutely. All right, y'all want to go ahead and just browse those photos?
Sure.
And
Okay, starting with this. Is this the next one zoomed in?
I think so.
Oh. Interesting.
Tell the listeners what you see.
A lot of
It's-
facial features. actually.
Yeah, it's it kind of looks like a bald man with a long goat type beard. You know, like the ones where it's just like on the chin and goes downwards.
Yeah, I mean, that would be that'd be right for Texas.
yeah, that it
Yeah,
sounds.
it definitely does look.
And I'm kind of getting
Let me see what you're
that-
seeing. Let me
like
see what you're
circular
seeing.
glasses too.
Let me see what you're seeing right there. Oh yeah,
Honestly, it kind of looks like Kristen's husband, Tanner.
yeah.
Yeah.
Crispin's husband. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It does.
For those of you who remember Kristen from an earlier
Yes,
episode. But
yes.
yeah, it looks like our friend Tanner Hamilton. With the
Yeah.
circular glasses, bald in the in the beard.
It's true.
Yeah.
And then there's more. There's the hog video, the hog
Yes.
screenshots, and I'll include all this on YouTube, y'all. The skull, the one does look like a skull, like down at the bottom.
It's kind of hard with the light. It glares a
Yeah,
little
it's
bit.
a little
but-
glary.
Oh, I think I see what you're referring to.
Yeah,
Is it that right there?
I don't know. Tell them what you see.
Well, I want to make sure that
That's
yeah.
just what you're looking at. Yeah, sure. Understood.
Is it the Misty?
Yeah, I think it's the misty
Okay.
thing. Yeah, and it's in the mist is like in the
Oh, yeah.
shape of the skull.
Yeah.
It's very Evil Dead.
It is very Evil Dead.
Yeah.
It's almost a little bit of that exaggerated when you want to make a skull look evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because it doesn't have that open socket. It kind of has like angry-eyed
Right.
sockets. Yeah, because skulls tend to be blank in their oh, there it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see it.
Yep.
So okay. I see
Okay,
what you're
okay.
going for.
And
I see what
then-
you're going for. So
I think
So,
that's
this
the
is the
Sin.
man. Although, you know, by size, this man is gigantic.
he is. He's very large.
You know, because he takes up the entire window frame.
Window. Yeah.
Right. Very
So
tall
San
man.
Antonio is like an extremely haunted city, mainly because obviously because there's been a lot of battle there, right?
Well,
like
sure.
with the Alamo and everything.
Well, you know, and hotels in general. Oh, I see the orb.
Chris, have you been in San
The fact
Antonio?
that the hog is not moving at all
Is
very
interesting.
intriguing. I have been to San Antonio. Yes, it is a woefully haunted location. It was a frontier area. It was very difficult. Again, we talk about the difficulty of existing and living. It was highly contested. It was the site of course, such a bloody battle.
Oh, yeah.
Such a series of bloody battles.
I think a really
Thank you,
cool Pear
Hog.
Junkie exclusive, y'all, would be if we went to San
See how
Antonio.
They undulate. So we're looking at the orbs right now. The first video has a hog walking by, and then what I would deem to be insects too. And the thing about insects is they don't just fly; they kind of move in patterns.
Yeah, they bloop around.
They bloop
They do.
around. Whereas the second video
It's
has
very-
has the hog absolutely transfixed.
Yeah.
not
Let me
moving at
wait.
all.
I want to see it.
So the hog is not moving at all, and then as these orbs go by, and they're coming straight for the camera, they are not
Replay
moving
it
in that
so you can
same
see
pattern.
Oh yeah, they're flying like really straight.
They're moving super straight, super smooth.
Whoa, that's weird. And it's all coming from the woods.
It's coming
almost
out
like
of the woods towards the camera.
Yeah.
And the fact that the hog is not moving at all.
Yo,
Yo,
that's crazy.
Is intriguing at
Right.
the very least. It's like, oh, well, that's interesting. And those light phenomenon again could be insects, but when you look at the first video, you can see that they dip and they move and they kind of arc. Whereas here they're just like straight on, like somebody's shooting a bullet.
Right.
Absolutely.
right at the camera.
Well, and
wild.
piggies have insects and things around them all the time, so
absolutely.
it wouldn't be enough to a bug wouldn't stop a hog.
A hog's not just going to stop because
It's like bug.
Bug. Yeah, that's crazy.
It is. That's very interesting.
I would love to do a like a Pear Junkie exclusive where we go to San Antonio and then like we head over to the Texas Killing Fields. I know it's like a couple hours away. But because I bet that's extremely haunted spot too.
That's
so many. Texas is
just a haunted
just
place.
a big
haunted
place.
place.
Just a haunted,
Really
haunted place.
is.
We should go to Goatman Bridge.
Yeah.
That's where we should go.
Yeah.
Which is on the
absolutely.
absolute other side of the state, I believe. So
Yeah, it is. But
Texas is its own country.
it is. It's massive.
All right, here we go. Oh, we got another video, y'all.
Nice.
This is great. Send in your videos and your photos. I love it. All right, here we go. This one is from Tucker Phillips.
Tucker.
Yep. Okay.
Where's
Why that inspired us? Tucker. Yeah, let's get some together.
Where's Dale?
I know.
Tucker
Lord.
Dale.
All right, here we go. All right. Sorry, Tucker. Okay. This one's called Ghostmail. Hello, guys. Been enjoying the podcast and decided to submit my story. A little background. My name is Tucker, and I'm in the Army, and this story takes place in on-post housing in Colorado.
Oh, nice.
I've never experienced anything before, but I've always been interested in the paranormal. My sister, however, has seen and spoken to ghosts all of her life, according to her and my parents, though, so I don't know, LMAO. So while I was stationed at Fort Carson, I decided to live on the USAF Academy. I lived in the old Douglas neighborhood at the top of the hill next to the trees for about a year. My unit was going to Europe, so I decided to move my pregnant wife and 1-year-old daughter in with the in-laws while I was gone and move out of the house. About 2 weeks before we left, I was in the house by myself and I was packing up our things to move into a storage building when I started getting this eerie feeling, but I just chalked it up to adjusting to an empty house. Then one night on the weekend, as I was about to fall asleep, I heard a faint knocking noise that sounded like it was coming from the basement. The master bedroom is right next to the stairwell that leads to the basement. I told myself it was the foundation settling or the water pipes or something and went to sleep. I feel like everyone's like, oh, it's just the foundation settling.
Well,
It's been there for like 50 years and it's still settling.
Yeah.
We have ready-made excuses to keep us safe, psychologically.
Yeah. All right. The next night I was watching YouTube and I heard the knocking again, except it was much louder and it came in sets of...
Tree.
Always.
I love when it comes to demon. Oh boy. That's how it was when I was like 5.
Yes.
I was like, demon. My parents were like, oh
What are you
God.
at 5? You were
Literally.
doing it last week.
Yeah, literally.
You're doing it right now.
I know. I'm so excited. Well, let me wet my whistle real fast. All right. It happened. So it came in sets of 3. It happened about every 45 seconds, and I stayed awake listening to it for about 4 hours. Yikes. This continued the next couple of nights, and midway through the week, people noticed that I started looking drowsy and like I wasn't getting sleep, so I told a few of the boys about it. Fast forward to next weekend, and I'm no longer sleeping in my bedroom. I'm sleeping in my recliner in the front of the house. Well, one night, The sun goes down and the knocking starts again. I got a really crappy video of it, and you can barely hear it unless you hook your phone up to a speaker. Well, I'm sitting there and I'm just listening, and then I hear this old ammo can that I have down there in my game room slide across the floor. F this. And I leave and slept in the backseat of my truck that night. Wow. It's got to be a pretty convincing haunting if you're sleeping in a car.
That's one of my first checklist items is how affected was the person experiencing it. If they leave, if they move out, if they go away, if they leave, that's pretty significant. Absolutely. Because we are wired to have the danger sensations for supernatural things. And while a lot of people encounter things, a lot of times they don't leave. A lot of times they're still. So it's like, well, the fact that you could stand your ground suggests that there is some negotiating to be had.
Yeah.
But if you just up and leave, then that kind of suggests the level of threat or the level of activity.
Sounds very poltergeist-like.
Yeah,
almost.
absolutely.
Just noisy.
I hope that when I die, heaven is I can come back down here and mess with people like this.
Oh, good.
Well, aren't you a delight?
Yes.
Are those new glasses, Chris? Those look good.
I don't know if you noticed, but I generally wear different glasses every time I
it seems like it. All right. I just like the blue. Anyway, okay. All right. Scary story, though. Yeah. Seriously. All right. So, F this, and I leave and slept in the back seat of my truck that night. Fast forward to the day before my move-out inspection, and my house isn't packed at all, and I'd blown a tire on I-25. So 5 of the boys come over to help me pack and move my stuff to the storage building, and they're all aware of what's been going on. So we spent more time ghost hunting than actual...
That's great.
I love it. Than actually packing because they were skeptical. So they downloaded a couple of apps and we started poking around in the basement and things started getting dicey. Oh boy. One of the guys felt a heavy weight on his back. Another one started getting splitting headaches and his heart was racing. The app says things like, Phil lives here about a year. And are those soldiers?
Ooh.
Big yikes. That's big yikes. Because a few were still in uniform. Oh boy. Sure. So they get freaked out and leave, and only one stays behind with me. We move all the big furniture that I couldn't move myself to the storage building, and he helps me get everything from the basement and the back of the house into the living room, and then he leaves. I moved a few things into the garage before dark, and then as the sun set, I left. I go back the next day and finish getting everything moved over before dark. All I have left to do is get a few trash items, put the garage door opener on the counter, and lock the house. I load the back of my truck, take a few deep breaths, and then walk to the front door. I open it, and as soon as I set foot in, I felt like I was being watched. The basement door that I'd left closed is wide open, and all the hair on the back of my head is standing straight up. Back of my neck is standing straight up. I put the garage door opener on the counter and practically jump out the back out the door before locking it and speed out of there. The only thing that reminds me it actually happened and wasn't my imagination was the other guy's experiences. Video needs to be played over a speaker to hear the knocking. Well, luckily, you sent this in to a filmmaker, and I will most likely be able to pull that audio right out of it.
That's fair.
So I will do that here. Debria edits our videos, so I looked at her and I was
Boom.
like, here.
Boom.
It's magic.
It's magic.
Just like that.
Awesome. That was
incredible.
a great story.
That's a good story. Fort Carson
Yo.
is woefully haunted. I was actually stationed there briefly. And Fort Carson is, and I should say this of all military bases. All military bases have such a a mixture of life events occurring. A lot of times in a fort, it's the first time that young men are away from their family. It's the first time that the threat of any conflict that might be coming up or ensuing. The training is very hard. The psychological weight on people. There is an inordinate amount of suicides that occur on any given base, and a lot of bases terrifyingly have incidents of spousal and domestic violence that oftentimes leads to horrible events. I know that there's a ghost story in Fort Stewart about, I believe he was a captain who killed his family and then himself. And I want to say even up here on Wilmington Island, there's a story about a soldier who killed his family and then himself. Common stories of people just having psychotic breaks on military bases or affiliated with the military. So and Fort Carson being in the mountains, in the mountainous region,
right.
That is again just a place where spirits have a lot of ability to be forceful and to be present.
It definitely didn't seem like a nice thing.
No. Well, and we talked about basements ghosts before. Basements being just kind of like a repository for spirits. And the purposes of the basement dwelling spirits. Family housing on any military base carries with it just the ghosts of all the people who came and went. They may still be alive, but they inhabit that place for a brief period of time, and you get over and over people coming in and coming in and coming in. I grew up in family housing, and I remember distinctly at least 2 times where it just seemed like the place was just bad juju. It's just so scary. One place. I was certain that my sister was talking because we had a wall between us, and I could have sworn that she was talking through the air conditioning vent. That she was like, "Hey,
she probably was
trying to get my attention."
She probably was, Chris.
I don't put it past her. She easily could have been up there.
From the stories
just
you've told on this podcast,
this will damage him. Parcel tonguing through the air vents, and I'm like, "Oh no, Ginny, is that you? No, this isn't Ginny." No. So yeah, it's very likely, but
that's okay.
Camera.
That's all right.
But I will say that a lot of those places are just steeped with a lot of goodbyes. People, uprooting their lives and moving on, and that kind of emotional tension, especially in the family homes, because children make friends, and then it's like, time to go, we're moving, and their whole lives are upended, and it's just like, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody that I care about, and probably never see them again.
Right.
At least in my childhood, that's the way it was, because we didn't have Facebook. So, it's like, so long, never see you again.
I always am interested when soldiers tell ghost stories, because they are psychologically trained to handle really intense situations. So, when I hear of soldiers coming into a place and they're like, I don't want to be there. I'm like, okay, so that's pretty intense energy. That's very telling. If whoever Phil is, if that's an accurate name.
Right.
I don't think Phil wanted anybody there.
Yeah.
And that could have just been a spirit of somebody who might have died in the house or things like that. And he's just like, listen, this is my spot. I don't want anybody here. Because there are those curmudgeon-y type spirits, and sometimes as they progress as a spirit, they're just like, I'm gonna get more and more intense with my off-putting energy, so that way nobody wants to be around me. So it doesn't mean that it's necessarily demonic. It could have just been trying to play. Like, it's like, I know this works. It gets people out, knocking 3 times on the wall or things like that, rolling some stuff around. It's like, people don't like this. Maybe that'll get them out, but you never know. I'm very interested to hear this audio, though,
yes.
when we do
when
get
we
it
finally
pulled
do
out.
pull the sound out. That's so creepy. I mean, just that rhythmic knocking that is deliberate, and
Yeah, so, I am definitely, if If your friends also have any experiences that they didn't tell you about and want to share with us, please have them share it, because I would love
absolutely.
to hear more about their experience with Phil antics. But
And anybody out there who has pictures or videos or anything of the like, please send them in.
Yes.
We love looking at them.
absolutely. But yes, thank you guys so much for sending in your ghost mail. This was a great episode.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what the next trend of ghostly
I know.
encounters will be.
Sleepy white ghosts
Spoopy white ghosts at night in hallways.
in hallways.
But
And videos and pictures.
yes, those are always great. But if you want to, like I said at the beginning, if you want to send us any ghost mail, you can send it to ghostmail@hauntedcitypodcast.com. But with that, though, we are going to wrap things up. So my name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Susi.
And stay spooky, y'all.